Welcome back to Real Estate Mindset. Today's video is going to be absolutely bonkers. Now, the data is in, and today I'm going to issue an urgent warning to all future home buyers. Doesn't matter if you're purchasing right now or trying to purchase right now. Doesn't matter if you're forced to the sideline. Doesn't matter if you're choosing to stay in the sideline. Today, we're going to talk about all of the rumors out there in the media and around YouTube. And we'll start with talking about seasonality, because what's going on right now, you guys, is far from seasonality. Now, also, we're going to talk about forced selling, and then we're going to talk about unaffordability. We'll talk about the job market. We'll talk about recession. We'll talk about what are realtors saying right now, and when should we expect interest rates to come back down. Now, you know I'm not a financial advisor, even though my bio is as a realtor, loan officer, a CE continuing education real estate instructor in the state of Texas. Plus, you guys, not only that, I also have my own personal experience at making the wrong decisions in real estate. What I mean is I had a foreclosure, repo, bankruptcy, and tax lien in 2009. So I had to dig myself out of the gutter to where I'm at right now, which is a well-qualified buyer who has decided to stay on the sideline. And you guys, for the transparency, for me ringing the alarm, please like this video, subscribe if you haven't already, comment below, and share this video so we can continue to get out awareness. There's been overwhelming misinformation out there in the media, on YouTube, about how the price decline has really just been seasonality. So what I'm going to do, guys, is we're going to go into Zillow, CoreLogic, Black Knight, Case-Shiller, and median sales price so that I can show you what has been happening is not normal seasonality, not by a long shot. Now, the first thing that we're going to look at is Zillow's home value index. Now, it goes back to April in 2015. And basically what this is Zillow's way to determine home value. And I just wanted to point out, you guys, here, right here where my arrow's at, starting around June and July of 2022, home prices went down. You guys can see this downward trend right here. Now, they have recently rebounded. You can see that here. Look at, is this red flag right here, this decline. Now, there's an overwhelming amount of what I call brain dead realtors saying that this is just seasonality. But when we look at Zillow Home Value Index and we go back all the way to 2016, we can see that values never really went down. Do y'all see this? So there is no normal value decline when we talk about seasonality. In fact, you guys, I did one better. I actually calculated all of this and I was able to find a couple times of value decline. So we can see that actually in 2017, the values went down in January about right here, from right here. So from right here to right here, December to January, home values did go down $320. That's it. And then also the same thing in 2018, home values went down $54. When we look at 2019, from about here to about right here, we could see it was about $1,500. But you guys, we're talking about $54 to about $1,500. When we go up here, we could see that the drop was from $344,000 all the way down to about $330,000. You guys, that represents $14,000. So we have realtors and investors out here saying, no, this is normal. This is normal. They always go down this time of year, when some of the time they've only went down $54. Let's be realistic. When we look at this chart, literally almost anyone, even if you know nothing about real estate, we can see that this decline right here, and again, this goes back all the way to 2016, so 8 years, this isn't normal. In fact, this is far from normal. Going into our next home value index from Black Knight. Now here I wanted to show you true decline. So this chart basically measures whether or not a home goes up in value or goes down in value. And what I want to point out first of all is immediately to the right of my picture where my mouse is right here. You guys can basically see that this right here represents negative price decline. So anytime it goes under the zero right here, anytime it goes under that zero, that means decline in value. So I do want to point out, back in 2006, right before the financial collapse, there was a decline in value. We can see that here, followed by this rebound right here, and then basically massive price declines here, followed by a slight rebound, and then another set of massive decline right here. But let's focus all the way to the right here because we're talking about what's going on right now. Now you guys can see, look at this here. We can see the negative equity. Okay, so all of this right here represents negative value, negative equity. Now, obviously it did rebound. So we are having a rebound right here, just like we had over here. Only this rebound is a lot more pronounced, as was the initial declines. But again, we're talking about seasonality. So when I go back all the way to 2012, look at you guys, there are no other years of any seasonality taking place that led to value drops. Do you all see that? In fact, that's going all the way back to about right here during the Great Financial Collapse. So from the Great Financial Collapse to current, we've never had a price decline except recently. Black Knight Home Price Index again shows us that the price decline that we have seen is far from seasonal. Here's CoreLogic's HPI and HPI forecast. Now, unfortunately, you guys, I couldn't get the most updated chart because I have to pay for it. But again, just like the last chart from Black Knight, what this is measuring is the percentage change. And you guys can see the percentage change right about right here. So this is a representation of the current price decline. I want to show you seasonality. If we go to the left of that, we can see, again, going all the way back to 2012, there has been no price decline. Again, this is the HPI. This is CoreLogic's algorithm to determine what house values are. Do y'all see that? Again, whoever says that this is seasonality does not understand how value is generated. Not at all. And going back here, look at the Great Financial Collapse right here. I mean, huge Great Financial Collapse. Obviously, look at the momentum. So it started actually slow and then it built up and it basically exploded after about a year and a half to 2 years, rebounded a little bit and then exploded and melted down again before rebounding once again in 2012. But I also want to point out this massive run up in equity right here. That's one of the reasons that I'm saying that we will have price declines even though we have a limited amount of inventory because of the massive equity run-up. Case-Shiller U.S. National Home Price Index. You guys, Case-Shiller is a very good way to determine what's going on with values. Unfortunately, it lags like crazy. In fact, this only goes to May. But again, you guys, I wanted to show you and point out seasonality. Now, when we first look at this graph, we can tell it's not seasonality. We can tell this decline right here. You guys see it? Huge decline right here is not seasonality. In fact, this trajectory right here of decline exceeds the start of the last financial collapse by far. And also, if I may point out, the bubble run up is bigger than last time, but that's all right. Let's go and look at seasonality. So starting about right here, you guys, February of 2012, let's see if home values ever really went down. So maybe a little bit. Did they go down? I don't think so. Look at. So it did go down a touch right here in 2015, a little bit of a touch right there. But look at this, you guys. This is what seasonality looks like. Do y'all see that? This is not seasonality. Look at that run up. That is not. So why can't the realtors talk about how this is not seasonality, right? They're like, no, this is seasonality. This is just supply and demand. But what I'm saying is what this is here is obsession. This is obsession and reckless purchasing because around the middle of 2022, it stopped being beneficial overall to purchase real estate. I'm really hoping if there's realtors or anyone else that's been using that narrative, please, you guys, stop. I understand what you're saying about the laws of supply and demand, and we're going to get to that in this video, but please understand, you guys, that we have something called a Federal Reserve, and they're doing something called quantitative tightening, and as a result, M2 money supply has been going down, and on top of M2 going down, the balance sheet of the Fed has been going down, and interest rates have absolutely been skyrocketing. Is that seasonal? Come on, guys. It's not. Let's now talk about inventory. We have historically low inventory, but here's the thing, you guys. This is in the front of low unemployment and no recession. We have low inventory, and yet we have massive price declines in places like Austin, Sacramento, Phoenix, Las Vegas. Now, a lot of places have rebounded, but that doesn't mean that the monster hasn't reared its head. Now, I want to be specific. I'm not saying we're going to have a housing market crash like 2008. I believe this time we will have much less foreclosures. When I'm talking about crashing, I'm specifically talking about the prices of homes. And I believe it's very possible that when we just look at the prices of homes, not foreclosures, home prices will actually go down more in some metro areas than in 2008. Now, we have to also look at forced selling. Forced selling is basically anyone that needs to sell their house. And essentially, they have to sell their house no matter the conditions of the housing market. So we're going to look at a few factors on why people would be forced to sell. Starting with this pretty heartbreaking statistic, you guys, I can only get to 2021, but in 2021, there was 690,000 divorces filed. And the problem, you guys, is again, if you get divorced and you own a house, odds are you're going to sell the house or you're going to move or something's going to happen as a result of the family tragedy. But again, roughly 700,000 people will file for divorce. When we look at some of the leading factors of filing divorce, we see that 38% of divorces were filed because of financial problems. And that was back in 2021 when things were more affordable and we were still being handed money from the government. Now that that's over, I suspect there's going to be a lot of marriages that are not prepared properly that are going to be suffering as a result of finances. The number one reason people move is because of job relocation. Now you can see from this data here, and it's a little bit old, I couldn't get 2023 yet, but 62% of people are willing to relocate for career advancement. So that is the number one reason, you guys. And I also wanted to point out that in 2020, 5 million Americans moved because of remote work. That's crazy. This is down in 2022 to 1.6% of Americans. So the relocation has been changing, but nevertheless, you guys, we will always have people that relocate for career advancement, and we will always have people that unfortunately have to sell their house as a result of divorce. Now, some of the other things is medical emergencies, your family, or just not being able to afford being a homeowner anymore. But the biggest forced selling, you guys, the absolute biggest forced selling is going to come from new home builders. And I'm about to show you that right now. Now, I think it's especially important to watch new home builders because they're, in my opinion, going to control the prices and the crashing in the housing market. At least it's going to be a top catalyst. And right now, you guys, we have a historical amount of inventory that is from new homes sitting at over 30%, again, over 30% of the total active listings are new homes. Because remember, they must sell their houses. They have financial obligations they must meet. And anytime they hold property and hold spec homes, they pay massive amounts of interest and fees. You guys, they must sell their houses. When we look here, this is the months of supply for new homes. And you guys, we don't have a supply problem, an inventory problem with new homes. We're sitting at 7.3 months. That's way higher than the 6 months needed for it to become a buyer's market. So it's updated at 9 o'clock today. We're at 7.3 months. Builders need buyers right now. And y'all, not only is the inventory absolutely ridiculous, look at how many units they started. This went up month over month. So even though the only way they're selling their houses is ridiculous buying incentives because people can't afford these houses, they're still starting one annualized, obviously, 1.45 million additional units on top of the inventory that they already have. This chart right here is the new privately owned housing units under construction. Now, I boiled this down to only single family residences, and you guys can see that right now under construction, there's 678,000 homes. And I'm really trying to say there's no one left to buy all of this. In fact, I have no idea how it's lasted this long other than one primary thing: outrageous buying incentives. But again, you guys, not only do we already have inventory, not only are they starting a whole bunch of new projects, they have already a roughly 700,000 homes under construction. And if you look to the left of me, you can see some of the price cuts that Lennar is offering in the Austin area. You have some price cuts because, again, you guys, they are forced to sell these houses. They cannot hold. And some of these price cuts over 100,000. This is 174,000. This is over $200,000, you guys. This is what forced selling looks like. But not only do they have to cut the prices, they also understand the massive problem with unaffordability. So this is why Lennar, as according to this right here, is offering, as the time of this video, a 4.5% fixed rate. You guys, 4.5% fixed rate. So if everything was so good with new homes, I know Warren Buffett, I know all of these things, but why would these home builders have to slash the prices like this and offer a 4.5% fixed rate to sell their houses. You guys, right now, the average interest rate is over 7%. We got massive headwinds going on right now in the housing market. And if it was up to me, I think that most people should be sitting out and waiting for the Federal Reserve to do their job while also hunting for the deal of their dreams and also improving their purchasing power. Now, let me show you the foundation of the current housing market, guys. Now, this is the national payment to income ratio. This is basically showing us that home ownership is more expensive than it was during the great financial collapse, sitting at 36.4% of average median household income, going to only paying principal and interest. This does not even count taxes and insurance. And so the foundation of this housing market is overwhelming unaffordability. And I'm going to tell you guys right now, I was a loan officer during the great financial collapse. In fact, I was licensed in 2003 and went through every stage, the boom and the bust of the great financial collapse. And I could tell you the reason why we had the great financial collapse, yes, the deregulations of loans, specifically income qualification, but the reason for the collapse was not because of adjustable, not prime, not subprime. The reason for the collapse is people stopped paying their mortgages because of overwhelming unemployment. And so let me point out where we're at right now with the Federal Reserve's fight on the labor market, which is at 3.5%, meaning unemployment has gone down since quantitative tightening, which should really signal to us why, right? And the predominant reason that is, you guys, part-time jobs. There are no full-time job growth. In fact, month over month, we lost over 500,000 full-time jobs, and that's not even counting yellow. Look at the massive inversion of the 10-year and the 2-year. This is a chart that signals us of impending doom or pain to come. And right now, you guys, we've been inverted for quite a while now. Now, this is an indication of recession. And right now, you guys, it is screaming to us. Our forefathers are saying, beware, pain is coming. Black swans, a bust is coming. And that's what we see here. And normally this uninverts before we go into recession. And look at the trajectory. Right now, the trajectory is showing us that it is trying to uninvert. Although the last several recessions that did uninvert before we entered recession, during the 70s and 80s inflation battle, that was actually still inverted while we were in recession. So it's possible that, quite frankly, we're in recession now, and it's also possible that we enter recession prior to that uninversion. You may be wondering, when will rates be cut? And let me tell you guys something right now. The reason why we're in this situation is because we had low rates for far too long. And in my opinion, we need to make sure that rates, mortgage rates, stay in the 5%. I believe if mortgage rates stay in the 5%, I think we get the balance back. But let me show you, according to CME Fed Watch, what the market believes is going to happen as far as rate cuts. This is subject to change anytime the interest rate changes, but I'm taking us all the way to July of 2024, because essentially right now, this is saying that it is highly likely that there will be some type of rate cuts by July of 2024. Now, right now, this is where we're sitting. We're sitting at 525 to 550. So the market's saying there's a 20% chance will be a quarter less than now. 50 basis point chances here at 30%, 75 basis point decreases at 26%, and 100 basis point decreases at 11%. So more than likely, by the time we hit July of 2024, the Federal Reserve will start reducing interest rates. In the meantime, more than likely, interest rates are going to go up for several different reasons. And if you think you need to get off the sideline and go buy a house, let me show you guys how much interest and fees you would be paying if you purchase the average house at today's interest rates. So the loan amount is here at $336,200. I'm giving you guys a range of interest rates between 7.3 and 7.6. And I wanted to point out during the first 5 years of home ownership, because we get bullied all the time, oh, you're renting. But look at these recent buyers. These recent buyers are going to be paying over $120,000 in only interest in just 5 years. And if we want to look even more detail, here's an amortization schedule. Over the life of the loan, someone would be paying $510,000 in interest. At year 10, you only pay down about $40,000 of your principal. In 10 years, you guys, and in 7 years, which is kind of the average time it takes for someone to sell their house, in 7 years, you only drop your principal by $28,000. So when all is said and done, I think there's enough turmoil, headwinds, and economic uncertainty for us to pause a second and ask ourselves, do we really want to purchase real estate at one of the most unaffordable times of our lives? My answer is no. And I'm going to tell you guys another thing. Whenever you hear someone say you can buy now and refinance later, understand that what they're saying is complete nonsense. You can't just refinance later. In order to refinance later, you have to have equity in your house. If your house goes down in value, you cannot refinance later. For the people that say, oh, you missed out, if you're renting, you missed out. Here's the thing. If we would have purchased in 2022 and in 2021, remember the dynamic of the market. It was bidding wars. We had to waive our contingencies. And if we purchased, we would probably also be joining the group of homebuyers with overwhelming regret. So for me, I'm going to continue to work on my purchasing power, my credit, my income, my assets. I'm going to continue to hunt for a great deal every single day. But one thing I will not do is allow someone to bully me and give me misinformation so that they can convince me to purchase a home. I hope you guys got some value, insights, and perspective. And if you're out there investing in real estate, you know I wish you luck and I hope you win.